Cooking for two doesn't have to mean boring leftovers or big recipes. I'm making small batch suppers perfect for college roommates, empty nesters, newlyweds, or anyone that wants a delicious dinner without having to feed a crowd. I've never thought to make this dish in a smaller batch, but I'm doing it thanks to a loaf pan. We're doing loaf pan braised short ribs. Starting with about 1.5 pounds of short ribs, which these aren't too fat, so it's about 4, and then season them well with salt and pepper. To go with this meal, you've got to have mashed potatoes. But that's another thing you really don't think to make in such a small batch. But it's easy to gauge things like that. All you need are 2 russet potatoes. Or you can buy the pack of pre-made mashed potatoes, but those generally are made to serve 4. Then all you have to do is chop up your veggies, standard mirepoix, carrot, onion, celery. If I am having to buy things in a bunch, but I only need a couple of something, then I try to plan my menu by using those same ingredients in something else later in the week. You'll see what I mean a little later. This could be your small batch Sunday supper. That's the prep. Now we cook. Get a skillet going, heat up a little neutral oil. You want it to be really hot so that you can get that good crust on the short ribs. Everything about cooking on a smaller batch just seems easier. It's like the cleanup is so much less than cooking for my family of 5. Short ribs are a tougher cut of meat, so you cook this just like you do any other kind of roast. Sear it first and then let it go low and slow. Once they're browned on all sides, just take them out, put them in your loaf pan. And then to the drippings, I'm gonna go in with my veggies. Cook the onions until they're really brown before we do anything else. And now I'm going in with the other veggies. The recipe just says you can add them to the pan, but I like to also give them a little color here. Then I'm going in with a little tomato paste, and we will deglaze. We're gonna lift up all the flavor that we've already started to create. Before I deglaze, I'm gonna add in a little flour because we're working on that gravy. Give it a little stir, now a little tomato paste. Getting it in the tube like this is great, especially for small batch cooking when you only need a little bit at a time, because this and the fridge last a really long time. And you don't have to open up those little cans and wonder what to do with the rest of it. Cook that for about a minute, just to wake up the tomato paste and cook down that flour. And now deglaze. I'm using a little sherry because that's what the recipe called for, but you could also just do red wine here. Then in with our beef broth. And we're just gonna let this simmer until it thickens a little bit. Sure to get all that flour and tomato paste incorporated into the liquid. Just think this is such a good idea. All right, the sauce is slightly thickened. I'm just gonna pour this whole mixture over our short ribs. I'm gonna add in some herbs here. Doing a little rosemary and thyme. Then you just cover it with foil and let her go. Putting it on another little pan just in case it bubbles over. It's gonna cook at 325 degrees for about 3 hours. And in the meantime, I can take these 2 potatoes, peel them, cut them, boil them, and turn them into mashed potatoes. It smells like Sunday. I mean, I feel like you can taste it just by looking at it. Let me show you what just happened. Comes right off the bone. The meat is fall apart tender. The only thing you'll want to do is kind of spoon some of the fat that has risen to the top off before we eat all that gravy. So to serve, I've cooked up those 2 potatoes, little green beans. It's good looking. Our loaf pan did that. I love those carrots when they have been cooking in that. And then I'm going in with the liquid gold that we have created. And look, no big Dutch oven to clean up, just this little guy. Garnish it, maybe a little cracked pepper. This is a meal for 2 for a king and queen, if you ask me. That's just straight up delicious. I don't know if we've ever started off stronger than this right here. Melt in your mouth, flavor is perfect. This is a 5-star meal that you can enjoy at home, just the 2 of you. A chicken dinner is on the menu at least twice a week in my house. What we're making is spicy Thai Basil Chicken. Sometimes it's hard to buy a pack of chicken when you only have 2 people. Packs like this, though, are great because I can get 2 meals at least out of this, and that's what we're gonna do. I'm gonna use half of it for now and half for another dish. I mean, we're talking about $6 worth of chicken right here. I'm gonna take these chicken thighs and chop them really small. Once your chicken is chopped in tiny pieces, I'm gonna mix up a little stir-fry sauce. Base of it is just a little chicken broth, a little bit of soy sauce. Just go ahead and pull out all those little condiments out of your fridge. The only one you might have to buy is oyster sauce, but this is a great one to keep on hand in your fridge. It packs a lot of concentrated flavor and it's really inexpensive. It's also really thick, so it's gonna add some texture to your sauce. Then just a little bit of white sugar and brown sugar. So this is going to be all the things in this dish. It's sweet, salty, and spicy. And then a little fish sauce. Have you invested in the fish sauce yet? Does kind of add a little aroma to the kitchen. Everything in moderation. You can definitely omit that if you want to. All right, that's it. I'm gonna chop up a chili. That's all we need. So let's cook. Get a skillet hot, add in a little oil, and then I'm going in with the chopped chicken until it is mostly cooked. This will cook for a couple minutes till it starts to kind of take on some color and release easily from the pan. Once it's starting to cook through, going in with some shallots and garlic. Shallot is a great thing when you're cooking in smaller batches because obviously they're a lot smaller than an onion, but they can still do the job. And now the spicy to our spicy Thai Basil Chicken. That is a Serrano chili. You can use whatever chilies you want. That is spicier than a jalapeno. Okay, we're gonna get a little color on this. Then we're going to deglaze with our sauce. I'm gonna do just a little bit at first and let those sugars kind of caramelize to thicken a little bit. In goes our sauce, half of it. And then you wanna scrape up any bits from the bottom. Okay, it's thickened, it's coated the chicken, and now in with the rest of the sauce. And that's about it. All that's left is to add the basil to our spicy Thai basil. Let me show you some quick and easy perfect sides for two. When it comes to sides, I also grab things in a smaller package so you can get this pre-cooked rice instead of cooking a small amount on the stove. And then veggies like this that come in small packages or that you can just take from the produce department by weight. Just get what you need. You want the basil to be very pronounced in this dish. So get a whole big bunch, chop it up. Basil is aplenty this time of year, so this is a great dish to make use of it. The aroma is amazing. Easier, better, faster, cheaper than ordering takeout. Got some hot rice, just cooked up those sugar snaps. You know, always gotta have a green veggie. And a hearty helping of our spicy Thai chicken. Gonna top it with a little more Serrano chili and a little fresh basil. Spicy Thai basil chicken coming right up for two. I love the little bites of chicken, no knife required. There's the little kick. This is an explosion of umami. The savory richness, but also sweet and also spicy. Usually I like things kind of drenched in sauce. The sauciness here is perfect. The way it just coats the chicken and the veggies in there, you don't need any more. This is a summery dish that you would not have thought of, but you should be adding it to your dinner rotation this week. Next up, salmon fillets with creamy spinach. What's great about this dinner is you've got your main dish and your veggie in one, and it comes together with only a few ingredients. I'm gonna use the rest of the onion I had earlier. We're gonna start by making our creamed spinach. It also has mushrooms in it. So I've just got some cremini mushrooms. I'm just gonna slice them up. Recipe calls for frozen spinach, but we like fresh spinach. And yes, this is a whole box of 5 ounces, but it cooks down to nothing, so it's perfect for 2 people. And then what we're using as a shortcut to make it extra creamy is flavored cream cheese. So the recipe calls for the garden vegetable. I really like chive and onion. You could just use plain, whatever you have on hand. It's not gonna take the whole package, so you can just scoop from whatever you have. I'm gonna melt some butter in a skillet. All right, once that gets hot, in goes our onion. Get that a little head start before I add in the mushrooms. And then I'm not adding any salt at this point. I want the mushrooms to brown and get tender, and then I'll go with the spinach. If I added salt right now, it would just draw out the moisture and they wouldn't get browned. All right, mushrooms are browned. Now in goes the spinach. Do a little bit first, cook that down, now the rest. Stir in that cream cheese and Parmesan cheese. Turn the heat way down, you just want the cheese to melt. Okay, once that's melted, I'm gonna add in some Parmesan cheese and then season with a little garlic powder, salt, and pepper. That's gonna be perfect with some lemony salmon. Let's bring it all together. So I'm going to add our creamed spinach to half of our baking dish. It's done right now, but we're just gonna bake it with the salmon, and it might give it a little crust on the top because I'm gonna sprinkle on just a little more parm. To the other half, I'm going to lay in my salmon fillets, and I like skin-on fillets. You can eat the skin, but also it makes it easy just to swipe it right off the skin when it's cooked. So make sure your salmon fillets are dry, that way the seasonings stick on. I'm just going to simply season it with some salt and pepper and a little more of that garlic powder. The recipe says you can just brush it with some olive oil and lemon juice. I'm gonna save that for the end. Me going against recipes. Salmon has, to me, enough fat in it. You don't really have to add any oil. Okay, then it just goes into the oven at 400 degrees until that salmon is cooked. And we will have the perfect little dinner for two. Our salmon with our creamy baked spinach. I'm going to now finish the salmon off with a drizzle of olive oil and a squeeze of lemon. Break out the chilled white wine because this is a fancy dinner. Put down some of our spinach. Since we baked it with the salmon, it got kind of that like crusty top to it. Everybody's gonna say, you should eat the skin. I don't want to today, Linda. A little sprinkle of fresh parsley and then a little wedge of lemon. It's like a restaurant quality meal fit for two. There will definitely be no leftovers in this pan. What I love is that the salmon got a good crust on it, so paired with the creamy spinach is gonna be the perfect bite, and I will be going in for that perfect bite. That's my kind of dinner. The mushrooms add a lot of heartiness to that cream spinach. It's really rich with the cream cheese and Parmesan cheese together. The salmon is very simply seasoned, so it's delicate, and it's the perfect complement to the richness in the spinach. This is the perfect meal for one or two, but easy enough to double if you have a bigger family to feed. It's a good one. Next up is a skillet supper. This is a Mediterranean sausage and white bean skillet. It's packed with all the things. Serve it with some crusty bread and call it a day. I'm using just an Italian style chicken sausage. This is a great thing to have if you're feeding a smaller crowd. You can use just one link if it's just one person, or two or three, whatever you're feeling. It's got all the things going on, so many different flavors and textures, and I love anything that uses crusty bread as a vessel. I'm gonna chop this up pretty small to match the size of the beans. This is also a really good budget-friendly meal. If you're only using half the pack, you're talking just a few bucks for your protein, $1 for a can of beans, and then a couple other pantry staples. Also going in, some artichoke hearts and sun-dried tomatoes. I just had this in my pantry, but they make the smaller jar that's half this size perfect for one or two people. Everything else happens at the stove. Starting with some olive oil. That's gonna help get the sausage going. This sausage is already cooked technically, so it's not gonna render any fat, so you've gotta start with a little oil to help that go. In goes some onion. Cook that until the onion is soft, and then everything else goes in. You've heard me say this before, but using sausage is a great meal shortcut because it cuts back on other spices and ingredients because there's so much flavor already packed into that. Plus I'm using marinated artichoke hearts and sun-dried tomatoes, so that also has built-in flavor. And I'm also adding in about a tablespoon of the marinade. Okay, we've started developing a little bit of flavor along the bottom of the pan, so I like to lift that up, and I'm gonna do that with a little white wine. This could also be for one or two people. All right, so just lift that flavor up. It's smelling so good. Gonna let the wine reduce. Then in go the white beans. Now I'm just going in with a little chicken broth, and then you're gonna let it simmer and kind of get thickened, and then the beans will get even creamier. So now I'm just gonna let it go for about 10 minutes. You can see how good and creamy this is. We have not even added any salt and pepper yet. I like to take a fork and kind of mash the beans, and that just kind of releases some of the creaminess. Now, finishing touches, a little crushed red pepper, a big handful of chopped parsley, also turn off the heat, and then a little feta cheese. That is a good dinner. I'm sorry, you might have some leftovers here. It was just 2 links of sausage and a can of beans, but it made a lot of food. You can always add in a little more chicken broth if you want it a little soupier. Top with a little more feta and just a little zest of lemon. I might even kick it up. It's looking good, huh? This right here is a super hearty dinner for 2 or 3 or even 4. We didn't even add salt and pepper. It's pretty amazing. The wine that we added into the skillet really kind of added that perfect amount of acidity. But you know what I'm here for is this. Oh, cheers, everybody. You wouldn't think a can of beans could taste this good, but I'm here to tell you it can. You can't have a week's worth of dinners without throwing in a pasta dinner. So this is going to be creamy garlic pasta with chicken, and I'm starting with the rest of our chicken. Heat some olive oil. This is also a one-pot meal, which I love. I'm gonna get it really hot because I'm going to try and create that flavor base by really searing our chicken. All I'm gonna do is simply season it with salt and pepper. This is really gonna help us create that crust. And I'm gonna cook this without touching it for a few minutes, just so it takes on some color. All right, got some flavor. We don't have to worry about it being all the way cooked at this point. I'm gonna add in some butter and some chicken broth. This is actually a recipe that served 4 that I cut in half. So you can just go with 1 can of chicken broth instead of having to buy some and having any left over. Oh God, I forgot the garlic. The main ingredient, creamy garlic pasta. Obviously, you want to be able to taste the garlic. Now it smells like garlic. So in with that whole can. Now when that comes to a simmer, I'm gonna add in the pasta. Oops, it just fits better. Stir it in, and then you're just gonna let this cook until the pasta is al dente. You'll stir it occasionally, and it will absorb that chicken broth. If you find that your liquid is evaporating out before your pasta is cooked, you can go in with about half a cup of water, and then more if needed. And then once you get to your desired perfect pasta, there's just a little bit of sauce left. That's gonna thicken up in just a second. Now time to make it creamy. So I'm going in with a little bit of heavy cream and some grated Parmesan cheese. Let that cook for a few more minutes. And this is our indulgent but easy weeknight dinner. This looks so good. No store-bought sauce needed. A little more cheese, more fresh parsley. We've gotten a lot of use out of just one little $2 bunch of parsley. This is a perfect example of how you can make a recipe fit just your small crowd. But look at the creaminess achieved. When you cook pasta in the skillet like that, the starches from the pasta mix with the liquid and then back into the pasta. And we got a 2-for-1 special with 1 pack of chicken thighs. That is indulgent, packed with flavor. Get a bite with some chicken in there. The chicken thigh never fails. Never fails. It's tender, it's so hard to overcook it. This is a perfect plate of pasta. Fit for 2, or 1, or 10. We've done it. 5 dinners, no leftovers, mission accomplished. Whether the crowd you're cooking for has downsized or you're just getting started, these recipes are perfect for you. Let me know if you want to see more recipes like this. I think we nailed that one.